Today we're going to be talking about the 3 things that I love the most about the T7. Stick around. Hey, this is Chad with BeGoneForGood. We do videos all about adventure motorcycling, from the bikes we ride, the trips we take, tips, tricks, tutorials, everything under the sun when it comes to adventure motorcycling. You'll find it on this channel. If you like that sort of thing, hit that subscribe button below, hit the bell so you get notified every time we upload a new video. And if you like this particular video, leave a comment down below or hit that thumbs up. It really helps out the channel. Now, the Yamaha Tenere 700, the T7. This bike has been the golden goose for a long time now, and I've had an opportunity to ride a couple of times. I've been around them often, and these are my top 3 favorite things about the bike. Now, anybody who's watched this channel for any amount of time knows that I am a Honda guy. I've been a Honda CB500X guy initially. I'm now on a Honda Africa Twin. There's almost no chance I would ever let go of that bike for anything. I love my DCT. I love my Africa Twin. I've taken it all over the place. I will continue to do so. However, the T7 is very tempting. The T7 is a great bike, and there are a few reasons why I might be persuaded to potentially look at that bike if I was looking towards another one in the future. First off, this bike is incredibly nimble, almost to a fault initially. When I first got on and was able to ride, now I'm coming from the AT, which is heavier, wider. This bike just feels skinny. It is as close to a dirt bike as I've ever been on, and it moves exactly like that. Throwing it to the side and moving around the corners is incredibly easy. Once I got used to it on our ride, which granted was on paved roads and not in particularly rough terrain, wasn't over anything nuts, it was just a breeze, and you could actually like kind of sit into the curves and really just let this bike flow around, and it was so easy to maneuver. It felt extraordinarily light and agile the entire way through, which was amazing once you got used to it. It actually reminded me a little bit of my first bike in that way, that it just felt lighter, it felt like it was more agile, it felt like it was easy to throw around, but with the power that was there and the height that I really like on the AT. Fantastic. The second factor that I find really awesome about this bike is its kind of lack of tech. And now this could be a benefit for some and maybe a no-go for others, but on the bike that I rode, there was really only just an on-off switch for ABS. There's no traction control. There's none of the other bells and whistles that can kind of get you into a lot of trouble. And again, if you've watched this channel, you know that when I was out in Utah with my DCT, my heavy AT, the one that I love, dropped it in what felt like a pretty ordinary fall, busted the DCT, severed a wire in there, and couldn't get above first gear for anything. Just couldn't do it. I rode 30 miles in first gear. It was absurd. So if you're the type of person that really wants a bike to ride where you don't have to worry about all of that tech becoming a problem when you're out in the backcountry, this is a great bike. There's so many things. There's just no frills on this bike. It is really a great option if you're looking for a large and capable dirt bike, essentially. It's got everything we need without having all the extra stuff that can break and cause problems when you're out in the backcountry. That, to me, is a great testament to why you would have this bike and the type of ways you would be riding this bike. And that leads me into number 3. This is a go anywhere type of bike. And I mean that by, obviously, as adventure riders, all of our bikes kind of go anywhere, but there are some that are better suited to it than others. You look at the big GS and those wide heads that are sticking out, that's gonna limit your availability to, even in deep ruts, sometimes you'll get stuck. You're going in between 2 trees, you'll get stuck. Laying it over, it's super, super heavy. This bike is light, it is capable, it is thin, and the way that it can be ridden puts it in a category that I would argue even the AT probably struggles to be in. The power supply that you've got there with the 700 cc's is really enough to get you just about anywhere you want to go. And I'll talk a little bit about why I wouldn't choose the Tenere for myself because of that 700. The size of it is fantastic in the sense that you can get a low enough seat that a smaller rider can ride this, but it's still very tall. It's still very thin. So even when I sat on it, I felt like I was higher in my seat than I do on the AT, but it's so thin that my legs went straight down to the ground and I could still support it very, very easily. So Maybe shorter riders would have a little bit of trouble there. You just have to get a lower seat. Taller riders, they have a rally seat that you can get on there so you can actually sit up high, even though it is very, very skinny and you could still support yourself. It's got the 700cc engine. It's got long travel front forks. It's got an adjustable rear shock. It's got the thin body. All of these things lead to a place where this bike can go just about anywhere that you could take a dirt bike. Because of its lesser weight also, it makes it a little bit easier to pick up. The sort of thing that over the course of a day and doing some really grueling, rigorous stuff, you're not going to get bogged down or destroyed by having to pick your bike up a few times. And the other people around you are not going to get bogged down and destroyed by picking this bike up over and over again. That makes it a great go-anywhere bike. The fact that it is fairly simple also makes it really good for round-the-world travel or long-term travel, because you can get a lot of the parts that you need because it's purely mechanical almost anywhere you go. It's when you start getting into those electronics and all of that extra tech type stuff that you run into problems in places that maybe can't have parts like that on hand at all times. That's what makes this a great option once you get out and beyond our typical easy environments. And an extra bonus, the new tech camo that they provide, which is kind of a deep dark green, almost an olive green, goes perfectly with the Moscow Moto Woodland colorway that they put on their revolver, on their bags, all those different things. Anywhere that you can get a Moscow gear, you can get the Woodland color, and it matches perfectly with this new color, this tech camo color, which is just awesome. It looks like the perfect bug out bike. If you put a couple of bullet holes in some of your side panels, it would look like you were riding through the apocalypse. It's an awesome look, and I know that we're not necessarily going for looks alone, but that one has it hands down. Now, if you want to get into some of the reasons why I couldn't make that changeover, it's because where I live on the East Coast, my ride to get to almost anywhere fun, especially going all the way out to the West Coast, what I did for Utah, what I had to do for the Black Hills, is through some really heavy highway type of miles. Now, 700 cc's will do you just fine in 99% of the type of riding that you're going to do. When I'm hitting the highway and I need to go from 85 to 95 to pass a vehicle or something along those lines, maybe not quite that fast, but something along those lines, it's really great to have that added weight and that added speed and power capability that you get from the 1000. Also, this bike is phenomenally thin and agile, but that also means that your seat space is probably about that wide. Now, doing 12 hours on something that wide is very different from doing 12 hours on something this wide. Now, that doesn't have to be the only way you ride, and maybe you get used to being a little bit less comfortable because you've got a better bike to take once you get there. I'm making a trade-off. I really love that DCT. I love the seat on the AT. I'm very comfortable on that seat, especially when I'm pushing enormous amounts of highway miles. Without the DCT, without the thinner seat, the T7, if I lived really anywhere west of Nebraska, I would probably consider this as the perfect bike for the type of riding that I would likely be doing. The only thing that would change that is if I got into a massive road ride somewhere and needed to take another trip down to Honduras or all the way up to Alaska. Especially if I was going to be spending more time on the road than I was off the road, I'd probably consider something other than the T7. But if you are anywhere where you plan on getting off the road pretty quickly, T7 is where you've got to be. If you don't mind riding on the road in something a little bit less comfortable so you could get a little crazier off-road, T7 is where you need to be. This bike does it all. Hey, that's all I've got for the T7, my 3 favorite things about that bike. If you think I missed anything or if there's anything that you want to add, definitely leave a comment down below. I try to get answers out to just about everything that's out there. If you like this sort of content, what we do here at BeGoneForGood, definitely subscribe to the channel, hit that bell so you get notifications every time we upload a new video. Thank you very much for watching, and remember, as always, the adventure starts with you, up here and in here, and I'll see you in the next one.